I've done a lot of paranormal videos, debunking some paranormal videos. I've talked about some of my favorite paranormal evidence that I've gotten. I'm a very spiritual creature. I believe that spirituality is extremely individual. I am a priest of an actual religion, but I tend to be very individual about my belief system, and I do not know anyone else with my belief system, even practicing in the system that I am ordained in. I also want to talk about that. I also want to talk about channelers. I want to talk about paranormal. Today I'm talking about some channelers that I've found online. I think they're very interesting. I want to talk about what they're saying, what that aligns with my spirituality and my path, what it aligns with the religious order that I'm in, and how do I think these people are authentic. And I do believe I have a little bit of a reason or a significance of authenticity, because I am not only a priest, I am also someone who is able to do exorcisms. I am ordained. I have been doing paranormal work for almost 30 years. I've been in the trenches. I've been an investigator. I've always walked a spiritual path, but with a scientific mind of desiring evidence, and I've always been a fan of debunking and keeping ourselves grounded while still reaching our spiritual potential. I believe also I have been a very, very accomplished remote viewer. I am so accomplished, I guess, that people have reached out to me, and I am part of studies for remote viewing. I've done a lot of interesting experimentation with people that are in the cutting edge of ITC, and I believe that gives me some authority to say, okay, I think this is a fraud, or okay, this is how it could be real, and of course, balancing my spiritual education with my independent individual belief system and balancing it with what these people are saying. Today we're going to look at Bashar, channeled by Daryl Anka, and Kalask, channeling by Anthony. So let's get started with Bashar. I found this channel by accident. I don't know how it started. I think it's very interesting. When I first heard of Bashar and heard him speak, I thought he was absolutely ridiculous. I was also frustrated, and I still do get annoyed by how this gentleman, at the time, he would speak in multiple accents that sound fake. He would be like, and trying to look Scottish, Irish, da-da-da-da-da. Now, we're supposed to believe this is Bashar speaking through him. These days, or what I think has happened is over time, he has just used one voice, but there is a very specific personality that comes out when he's channeling this Bashar character, that I think it's pretty consistent. It is kind of an asshole. The Bashar character is extremely impatient. This is the first thing I'm going to say about this person before we even jump into the video. First off, we don't know if this is real, of course. I channel sometimes. I obviously do a lot of mediumship and spirituality work, and of course, remote viewing could be considered a form of channeling. So I channel a lot as well. I don't specifically know, I won't name a person that I'm talking to unless I'm trying to connect people with their passed over loved ones, which you can see. But I think everybody's capable of channeling. And in fact, I think a lot of creative people use channeling when they're doing their creative work. So if you're a painter, you're channeling while you're painting. If you're a writer, you're channeling while you're writing. Some of the most inspired works of art, literature, media has, I think, been partly induced by channeling. Obviously, it's kind of called the zone. So, is he channeling an outside force, or is he just tapping into his zone? I'm not going to decide on that. But whatever zone this is, outside force or not, he is an asshole. These people who come to him tend to be at their... When people come to me as a spiritualist, people come to me, they're looking for answers, they're looking for religious why. They're looking for the why. Why is this happening? What is happening? You know, they're usually in a bad state. You don't really turn to spirituality until you're in that bad state. For the most part, that's the people who seek out the smaller sects of religion, not Christianity. Sometimes you're born into that. I'm not talking about that, but people who are looking for help from a Palomayombe or a somebody who needs an exorcism. These people are not people who are just going to a church all the time. That's a little bit different. But if you're seeking out the specific help from a person channeling Bashar, you're definitely going to be looking for something. You're looking for yourself. You're going to probably be in an unbalanced state, or rather, not. It's a fragile state. Humans are a little bit fragile, and that's okay. That's normal. We're human. And he tends to be rude. He tends to be extremely impatient, and part of this could be him jumping from... Okay, let's just get to the videos. I'll just talk about it as we go. Okay, I saw... Oh, these are not the ones I wanted. Is there another Bashar? So with that explanation, I would like to talk about first some channelers. Let's start with Bashar. I'm interested in these channelers because I believe everybody is capable of channeling. I do believe that mediumship is something that can be taught, also remote viewing. I don't know that this man is, connecting to an alien life form named Bashar, but let's find out what he says. I do want to give my thoughts. I have so much to say on the subject, and I started talking about the subject and realized that I was just going on and on without context. So I have to show you these videos before I start talking about it. So let's just go. Now, these ones I have not seen, so let's click one of them. Now, I will say, this Bashar, I've watched a lot of his videos now, and I do think there's a lot in there that I agree with. A lot of his spiritual beliefs I agree with. A lot of his thoughts, but we'll see as we go. It can get a little fishy. First and foremost, the guy he's interesting. He does a lot of voice work when he's channeling, and
And to you, good day.
I was almost going to whisper. Okay, that was so...
First off, the subtitles on here are not correct, so they're going to be a little bit off. He always has the same response as Bashar every time. He goes, "And to you, good day." Which, okay, sure. I think an old entity would probably say something like that. That makes sense to me. And yeah, let's continue. Let's just see.
Oh, good. I just love this synchronicity so much.
So do we.
That was my question, actually.
How synchronous of you.
I know. And so I call them quinks. And
okay, quinks, huh? I don't know. I don't know what.
Quink.
Yeah, and it's like non-coincidental coincidence. You know things are happening.
I get it.
You are referring to an old-fashioned phrase in your language called a coinkydink.
There you go.
I guess so, but I shortened it. Yeah.
All right.
Because I love keeping track of them.
Oh, all right.
And I separated them. Events were quinks, and then when you found an object that was quinky, then it was a mool. But anyway, the question I had is, what are they?
What are what?
Well, I love how what are quinks? When
Are they not synchronicities?
Yes.
Well, we already explained what a synchronicity is.
Right, and you explained it so well, but
not well enough, obviously.
Well, no, I just wanted more. Like, I know we're creating our reality or attracting our reality,
yes,
we have momentum.
Okay, so let's stop it here. Right away is my most. I have a very big problem with this Bashar character because he is extremely. He's extremely impatient. Okay, I have ADHD. When you have ADHD, it is possible to hear a word that someone says and immediately jump. It is called a loose association, and immediately get to the point. Okay, so I had once a boss that I worked with really well because she also had ADHD, and so she would say, "I want to do," and I would already know what she was going to say. I would already know how it was going to be laid out. I'd say, "Oh, okay." She'd say one thing, one word. And I'd be like, okay, here's a product. She loved this, I love this. And then everybody else would be like, wait. How? Like, da-da-da-da-da. And then we would sit there and walk them through it one by one. But because of the ADHD, we already know where it's headed. Or rather, we think we know where it's headed. Not always, but a lot of the time, because of this loose association. It works very quickly in the mind. We're very quick thinkers, talkers, blah, 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 blah. Which is why I love to talk about things like this. So, one other thing I see about Bashar is that he does this to people. When I am practicing spirituality, and especially when people are in a vulnerable state, which is most of the time when they're seeking out a very individualistic spiritual path, something as obscure as Bashar, or something as obscure as what I practice, which is Palamayombe, or my individual spirituality and mediumship, if they're seeking me out, they're already in a space where they're probably vulnerable. So to lack patience, especially when doing channeling or mediumship, I think that's annoying. I think it's rude. I don't think that beings that are far greater than us and far more intelligent than us would be so impatient with us. Because when you have a new dog, it's so silly. When you have a new dog, and the dog isn't, it's learning to come to your call, you sit there and be like, okay, hurry up, get to the point. No, you're like, oh, it's a new dog. It doesn't know any better. Like, it has to be coaxed out. When you have an animal, you have to teach it to not fear your hand, blah, da, 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 da. I think spiritual beings would get it and be able to wait for someone to finish their question. They would wait for someone to not make these little quips in between, which the audience laughs at. They think it's funny. I think they're nervous. I don't know. I think
I don't know how that's happening. Maybe that's none of my business, or just let it go. But
that might sometimes be the wisest course, because you don't need to get too caught up in how the mechanism works to simply know the mechanism works. When you walk into one of your rooms and you turn on the light switch, do you stop and wonder how the light bulb is actually working, or just go, light, thank you, now I can get on about my business? Do you understand?
Yes.
So I completely agree with that. And I've used that I've talked about that many times. I believe, spirituality, let's say mediumship or any kind of divination, anything like that. I don't think we need to know how it works. I get in my car, I drive it. I don't know exactly how the gas combusts into a, propelling my car forward. I don't know. I have a electric and gas vehicle. So has an electric. Do I know how any of that works? A little bit, yeah, because, I enjoy mechanics, but I don't know the whole thing. I can't build it from scratch. So when I talk about remote viewing and I talk about spirituality and stuff, I talk about it like it doesn't really matter why remote viewing works. It matters that we prove that it works. It doesn't matter if we say, well, scientifically, we don't know how the spirit continues after death, but we think it does. I think we have enough proof to say that it does. Anyway, I think that's an interesting one. And so many of Bashar's statements I do agree with. I just want to point that out.
It's all right to know how it works, but you don't always need to know in order to just flow with what you're doing.
Exactly.
So the idea is to recognize everything is one thing. You understand this, yes?
Yes.
Different expressions of the same one thing occurring in exactly the same place, all at once in the same moment. What you view as different places, what you view from your perspective as different moments, are simply the same place and the same moment from different points of view. So the idea is that since everything is one thing, synchronicity is an experience of the collapsing of the space-time continuum experience down to at least something closer to the single moment, so that you understand that everything is happening here and now all at once, and suddenly exactly what you need that has always been right here, right now, appears before you exactly when you need it, exactly where you needed it. That's how it translates into the space-time matrix.
So those kind of beliefs are, in my opinion, a little bit toxic positivity. They border on the line of being toxic positivity, because you don't want to tell people, I don't believe that, hey, everything is there all at once. You can kind of relax into which I do flow with my life, so what am I talking about? But you can kind of not do anything and everything will come when it's supposed to come. Are you telling me that people who've lost their children when it was supposed to happen? Are you telling me that people who are in power that shouldn't be in power did it because, we all had to be there and we chose it, right? I don't believe in the choosing. I don't believe in, we chose to come here, we chose what our life is going to look like, blah, blah, blah. There are evidences that we may have some influence in it before incarnating, I guess, into a body. I do believe the soul goes on. I've talked about that at length. I don't need to harp on that any longer. And I've also talked about what I think happens before life as well. But we're not on that subject. I just want to say, be careful of saying, well, you're exactly the right place at the right time. Well, you can be, but are you also at the right place at the right time to get mugged? Just really, are you, you had to be there and get injured because blah, blah, blah. No, come on. There are things you can take precautions. You can research places you go. You can, protect yourself, or not even just those things, but yeah. So I'm just putting that one out there.
But that's a representation, a symbol of the fact that information and that experience has always been right here, right now, and now you've just shifted your frequency into a vibrational state that is appropriate for suddenly being able to perceive that information exactly when you needed it. Does that help?
Yes, it does. I like to go on walks, and I think of them as treasure hunts, and sometimes things would happen, and so I would be looking like my gang, my invisible gang, is playing with me.
Yes.
And it's so fun.
It is.
So the part that you said about with no insistence on the outcome.
Yes, because you don't really know what it's going to really look like.
Right.
And if you have a symbol of it, that's fine. But you have to understand that the symbol's job is just to get you into the state of excitement about having something like that happen. But sometimes the symbol can actually be limiting and prevent you from experiencing something even better than you were capable of imagining. Right. So that's why you don't need to insist on the particular outcome, because that particular outcome may not be the best outcome for you.
Right.
Okay, I think those are also one way to cop out. It's a cop out as a spiritualist. Obviously, I kind of agree. I believe in going forward without. I'm not too much of a planner myself. I know some people are very goal oriented. They like to put the goal and then take the steps towards the goal and then make it happen. I'm not one of those people. I'm more of a person who takes the steps and leads where it leads, and I tend to lead, so I kind of agree with this. But there's a problem with this thought process, is that it's a cop-out. Oh, well, this thing may be hard, but it is going to lead to something better than you can imagine. What if it doesn't, bro? Sorry, I can be a little catty too. Anyway, this would have limited you, so that person you really wanted to, I don't know, meet up with or see, it would have been worse for you. Well, that may not be true. You end up in far worse later. So these things, I think, are for spiritualists who want to explain away life. Oh, well, the reality is life is not always fair. Life can be hard. We're very lucky when it's not hard. We're lucky at those times, and we have to hold on to those times and enjoy them. And sometimes life is it's just hard. And there is no reason for it. There is no reason for there's not always a reason. Nature is cruel. One time I was looking out the window. No, I was downstairs. I wasn't looking out the window. I was downstairs. I was out front, my front yard, and I was hiking around because it's the coolest yard. I live in the forest right now. And I was hiking around and I heard some scuffling in the bush. So I ran over to go see what it was, thinking, oh my God, it could be a cool animal. I love animals. I want to see it. It was a hawk that had just flown in and grabbed this rabbit. And as I ran towards it, the hawk took off. Okay. So the hawk took off, and I'm pretty good with animals. So I was going to go grab that bunny. I was going to nurture it back to life. I got up to it. It was still alive, and I believe it passed away, as I was kind of coming up to it. And it wasn't the injury that made it pass away. It was the fear. So it died of a little heart attack, because bunnies are sensitive, and it was scared, I think, obviously. It wasn't that injured. It could have survived. It was not out of the realm of possibility that it survived. But the hawk was hungry. Nature is cruel. Nature sometimes just does things, and it has no reason, and it's not something that's because you have to grow spiritually, or you're going to get something better than you ever imagined. Sometimes it's just nature's cruelty. Now, I'm not a Debbie Downer. I'm actually a optimist, so I actually am very hopeful, and I say, okay, it's a circle of life. That rabbit will, then turn into food for something else, or soil, or whatever. I believe in that. But to deny the reality that nature is cruel, I mean, it's silly. Come on. No, because hurricanes really care.
So that's why you don't need to insist on the particular outcome, because that particular outcome may not be the best outcome for you.
Right. And I think I like it so much that I try to recreate it. And once I try, I'm out of it.
Yes. That's why we don't try. We just do.
Exactly. So when you were talking about Saibo,
yes.
I want to become a grandmaster of the slot machine. And I was thinking of that because, how it lines up. And that was another thing. How does law of attraction and synchronicity go together? Because I know I can focus on something like writing.
All right. One moment.
Okay.
In a sense, they are two different sides of the same coin, since you're using the slot machine reference. The idea of the law of attraction is, yes, in a sense, your people are correct when they say, well, you have to be of a certain state to attract something of that state. Yes, fundamentally. But that explanation is skipping over something of fundamental importance. And the fundamental important thing is this. You already have a core frequency that is representative of your pure state.
Okay.
That pure core frequency is already attracting everything that is representative and reflective and symbolic of that pure core state. If it's not manifesting right now, then either it's not the right timing according to your own theme of exploration, but still, for the same mechanical reason, it's being kept at bay. It's not that you're not attracting it, it's that you're keeping it away. So you have to understand, you don't have to learn.
Okay, I agree with the law of attraction stuff here. I don't believe that, if you get to this frequency, you will be able to attract this frequency. That is highly disingenuous. We know that the reason I believe spirituality is so individual is because all of our individual life experiences shape the way that we experience spirituality. Let me just close this for 1 second. I need to talk about spirituality as a whole. I am like a migratory bird. When the bird feels the need to migrate, it doesn't say to its friend, "Hey friend, I've got this great logical idea. Let's fly 6,000 miles to this completely other place so that we can put down some eggs, and then we'll fly 6,000 miles back in a few days." Yeah, it's very treacherous. Yeah, I could probably die. We could run out of water. We could run out of resting places. We could, we're putting everybody in danger, and sure, we might get eaten by another bird. But let's do it. No, they don't. They follow something inside of them that compels them to go and migrate. Humans are also a little bit migratory. We do have some migratory species within the humans where there are migratory people. But the point is that in our nature is encoded in our DNA deep down, in order for the survival of our species, just like birds, we have a compass that forces us, in many cases, many cases, to become spiritual, to find a spiritual path and to believe in something higher. If we did not have this survival mechanism, our species would not have survived so long. Of course, as society gets easier to live in on a survival level, we are able to reject this part of our deep-seated, compelling nature, okay? So as we move forward I am one of those people that has an extremely strong compass towards spirituality. There is nothing I can logically say, and I am very logical, I am very scientific. There is nothing that can stop that part of me to be pulled towards the spiritual. And that is true for many people. Many people find it in churches. Many people find it in different paths. Sometimes it's just spiritual, not religious. Sometimes it's divination. Sometimes it's just burning sage at home. It's very individual based on the surrounding reality as well. So people who live in countries that are still struggling to barely survive for the bare minimum tend to find their spirituality or access that vibration, or rather that magnetism, through other methods that are not considered the same, like vibratory spiritualism, as, say, Western cultures or the chi of, Eastern cultures, of Asian cultures. So, my point here is that when we talk about being on a vibration, that you have to be on that vibration, no, you don't. There is access to spirituality and those manifestations in almost every culture. They take a different shape based on the culture that they're in and based on the surrounding mechanism. If you're born in a fundamentalist Christian home, it's going to be very hard for you to find your spirituality, which you are compelled to do because that magnet inside of you says you must go towards this. You must migrate. You must become spiritual. It's going to be harder for you to find spirituality through, say, Yoruban practices or East African, West African practices, because you have to find it within that realm. So you have to find it within Christianity, which can be done. Those are different methods of finding it. So, but you're still manifesting. Okay? You're manifesting whether you are practicing hoodoo or you are practicing prayers to God. These are manifestations. I think they're on different vibrations. I believe that you can access them with or without your own physical body reaching that point, because I believe that if we talk to spirits, they can assist. I think that you can say, if you aren't able to reach like a high vibration yourself, people will talk to their angels, or they'll talk to God, or they'll talk to whatever deities. Oh, ancestors. They'll talk to their ancestors and say, can you help me see this reality? Can you help me see this reality? For many people in other maybe underdeveloped countries, the reality they're asking for is literally just food, water, and shelter. People who already have food, water, and shelter can get to that higher vibration without having to ask for as much help, because all of their basic needs are taken care of. So you're already here. But when you're trying to constantly struggle to even get here, you have to ask for help, or they do, or many traditions do. And that's how we get, the spirituality of my ancestors and Yoruban spirituality that I practice. And those things manifest outside, in my opinion. I believe they manifest outside of our body. So you say, okay, ancestors, please help me with this, that, and the other. They'll take care of it. It'll come to you. It doesn't have to do with your own vibration. And to say you have to be on a vibration or whatever, no, that's not true. Like he said, there is a core vibration of humanity, the humans in general. There's a core vibration, so no matter what, you're always going to be able to access that, and you always can, even if you are if you're barely surviving bare minimum. It's harder to access when you need to access food first, It's harder to access when you have to access survival first. But it is available to us all. All right, I've got a new headphone in because my other headphones ran out of battery, probably because I was rambling for so long. And I do love to talk. Okay, here we go. So I do agree with this. He says, so you have to understand you don't have to learn to do anything to attract what's true for you. Absolutely. I think we're all capable of doing that with or without the assistance of spiritual, regimens. I don't even think that we have to do many of the physical manifestations of those things. I don't think we have to do the ritual part to do spiritual work or magic, as it were. I believe that as
true for you. You have to learn why you might be keeping what is true for you away.
Right.
With your belief systems. But that's a fundamentally different state of being than thinking you have to learn to get into a vibrational state to attract something.
Right.
You're already doing it. Right. You don't have to learn it. It's automatic. It's immediate. It's effortless.
Yeah.
And therefore, the idea of synchronicity is that the more you allow yourself to divest yourself of the negative belief systems that are out of alignment with who you truly are and let them go, then the more you can experience all the things that are true for you in that now, and they will begin to manifest through.
Okay, I've talked about a little bit why this is a little bit problematic, this belief of, everything's happening here and now. So let's skip forward. I do want to, but some of this I do agree with, and I find myself agreeing a lot often with Bashar or the channeler, Daryl. I do believe a lot of what he says. I think he's also very well spoken, and although I'm not saying it's channeling another being, I do believe when you're in the zone, you can, just like being a writer or anything like that, you can become very well spoken or verbose, and it just flows out of you. I wouldn't say that is evidence of another entity being the channeled piece, I would say it is evidence of him being in a flow state, which is, that's fine. We could call flow states of many forms a type of channeling, and you wouldn't be wrong in that.
It on for its own sake, not for anything else and no other reason. And that will just automatically, you understand? It might be hysterical. But you have this insistence that your excitement will not be fulfilled unless money comes out. But insisting on that may have actually pinned you to that machine longer than you needed to be, because you wouldn't necessarily have gotten up by following your true excitement and your instincts and gone to another casino where suddenly another machine that you sit at gives you the jackpot. But it may not come from that machine, or it may come some other way entirely, or somebody may give you some.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that help you?
Yes,
I don't
does.
gamble. I don't gamble. I do tend to win things, but usually not through gambling. For example, I've won multiple tickets. I tend to be very easily win concert tickets. So if it's like on Instagram or on a radio show, I'll call in and I'll win. I win all the time through giveaways, but I don't win gambling. And I don't believe in gambling just because I tend to lose more than I win. So why even try? I don't get the high from it that other people do. But again, like I said, I am neurodivergent, so it's possible that that's just that, not anything spiritual related. But I don't know that we should be asking for gambling tips from spiritual beings, because we know that gambling is a human system and it's predatory.
Your chair's going backwards now.
Really? Oh my God. Okay.
Please take your seat.
Okay, bye. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
So he used to, or rather, I don't know when, but there are other videos of him doing these weird voices, and he doesn't seem to do them in these videos that we're watching now, but he will do crazy voices and accents throughout in many of the other videos, which I don't know when this changed over or what, but I'm glad he doesn't do it anymore. It sounds silly. It's silly. I guess the end to you good day is branding, but the rest is just rude.
Just to tag on really quick off of her last question on highest joint excitement, I want to talk a little bit about like self-hatred and self-love, because I've heard from another channeler that if you're in like a state of self-hatred, that your highest joy and excitement can be something that's destructive and detrimental.
No. Watch your contradictory definitions. Self-hatred is not an expression of excitement, but someone can create the idea that it is. But that is not an accurate representation of the vibration of excitement. Remember that the idea of self-hatred, by definition, mechanically, is a negative energy. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
It's segregative, separative, disconnective in its experience.
Okay.
The idea of excitement is a positive mechanical energy, which means it's connective, integrative, and expansive. Therefore, saying...
I'm being semantic, but there are forms of excitement, and I mean that in happy excitement, that can be destructive. And if you have ever been around someone who has bipolar 2, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, and they get so excited and they blow all their money and they follow their excitement, So Bashar talks a lot about following your excitement, and that's how you can live your best life and how you can come to a higher vibration and so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. I agree in some forms, but again, I think you have to be very careful when you're talking as a spiritual leader, as Bashar is kind of like a shepherd for these people who are looking for spiritual answers. He needs to be more careful, in my opinion, than to say, oh, follow your excitement. Because there are, again, many forms of destructive excitement. And he says, no, that's just, he's wrong. He's wrong. That's it. Maybe he hasn't met a bipolar 2 human. When they get excited, they follow their excitement. And Bashar told me to follow my excitement, so I'm going to gamble at the casino like that woman was just there talking about gambling and throw all their money away. Or I am following my excitement, so I blew all my money on new furniture. And now me and my husband are divorcing. Whatever it is. This is very cool. I obviously know people who are bipolar 2 who do blow their lives out of whack through excitement. So they'll get excited maybe about a subject, maybe about making music or something. Okay, so oh my God, I'm so excited about this music. I'm going to follow my excitement. I'm thrilled. I'm making this music. I'm very creative. And I lost my job, my day job. Okay, so not saying that it's not true. It's just only true to an extent. And I think that people who are spiritual leaders need, especially if they are higher spiritual beings, need to be careful about the way they word things as not to lead to someone trying to use that as a justification for that form of excitement and ruining their lives. I'm not saying it's his responsibility if this, let's say, someone did ruin their lives, but it's not their responsibility, but it is your responsibility when you're in a seat of power to use it carefully and to be careful and shepherd people in a way that does not do harm, in my opinion. Of course, I also don't believe in karma, so what's going to happen? What's going to happen to this guy? My spiritual belief path actually does not believe in a direct karma. And so what if he leads them to the wrong path? So what? What's going to happen? There are people who've done horrible things that are in great positions of power and influence and have pretty good lives. So I'm not saying that. I'm saying the moral thing to do is to be careful about the way you word things. And I myself, especially in my spiritual practice, am very careful about the way that I approach things.
Well, it is my highest excitement to hate myself is a complete contradiction of energy and terms. Well, but you can create the experience as if it seems to be your higher excitement. But the only reason that would be done is because you are glossing it over so that you won't have to look at why you hate yourself.
Okay, I'm going to bounce off of this. I want to talk about another channeler called Kalask. This is very interesting. So this channeler says that he is channeling a lizard person or a reptilian. Sorry, reptilian. I want to be considerate to those people who are following reptilian beliefs and those kind of beliefs. I believe in many spiritual entities. I don't believe that... I don't necessarily believe. So I want to pause there and talk about another channeler called Kalask. He says that his name is Anthony. He channels a reptilian named Kalask. I believe in many entities. I believe that the world has been around. We've had dinosaurs. We've had cavemen. We've had all sorts of crazy animals. There are animals under the ocean right now that we still haven't even discovered. So, of course, spiritual entities and the incarnate spirits of those creatures may still roam the earth. Is a reptilian an outer space influencer? I don't know. I believe that Anthony, Kalask's channeler, believes that he is from outer space. I believe, and this is very, again, every individual has their own individual beliefs of spirituality because we have to, because we are constantly, there's so much outside information and things that go into spirituality. You're always going to have a very individualized view of spirituality. My individual view is that most of the things we interpret as alien or foreign or, grays and what are those? They're insectoids and so forth. Anything that we've interpreted in an alien form, I believe, is something from this plane, or this let's say not this plane, but from the Earth. Okay. I do think there are different planes of existence on the Earth, but I think they are an Earth spirit. I also think that, okay, there's a phenomenon. Go look it up right now. If anyone is listening to this, go look it up right now. Deer see tigers as the same color as the trees. Okay, so tigers that are bright orange to a human eye look exactly like every other tree and forest to a deer. Okay, also look up how peacock eye cones are. Okay, so our cones of visual ability, that we have the ability to see, are not even as developed as many animal species. Many animal species have more cones in their eyes. They can see more colors. They can see other spectrums. A lot of species can see IR spectrum, and we can't, for the most part. Not everybody, but most people can't. Some people can see a faint glowing red light. I can see sometimes a faint glowing red light. So sometimes I think I could see the IR spectrum. So why wouldn't there be something else beside us that we cannot see, just like they cannot see the tiger from the trees? Why wouldn't there be? Why wouldn't there be colors that we haven't even seen yet, because we do not have the ability to see the colors that other animal species do? And the way that keratin is built in a peacock with that beautiful shininess, why do we think that kind of stuff can't exist outside of the peacock? It's just that we can't see it because of the spectrum of light it's in, right? So for me, when I talk about spirits and entities and alien contact, almost all of them, in my opinion. And obviously this is a little unusual belief, but I think most of them are misinterpreted, and they are earthbound or earthly, I guess, earthly, because it's not exactly bound, but earthly creatures. So I think, this Calyx creature could be a lizard person here. They could be a reptilian here that already existed here, that is not from outer space. But that said, I mean, I believe in outer space. I think aliens are around, and they might have even contacted us. Okay, so let's talk about this guy. I find him very interesting. Let's talk about the AI threat, because this was one of the most entertaining I had. I will say I agree with him on a lot of stuff. You're going to be like, oh,
very
no.
briefly about, is there a danger to Earth?
No, but I agree with him a lot, and you're going to find out on some of it. The other parts, I'm gonna get mad about. So let's just talk about it.
When it comes to AI, the AI influences, the AI interferences, the AI sort of malevolency against her, is there any of that? Is any of that truth? And
I like that.
We understand on the Internet Collective, through the Internet, often we see that the AI is the greatest danger to Earth, greatest enemy, greatest menace, and that humans eventually will be taken over by AI. So I just wanted them to confirm and see what they had to say. And how do they see AI as far as Alpha Draconian race, as far as extraterrestrials are concerned in the galaxy?
So he sees it as that there are draconian races and that may be true. I don't know. I don't know. And other like races in the galaxy. I think most of them are probably here, and that we just misinterpret them. Oh, it's an alien. Oh, why? Because it's not shaped like a human, or because it's shaped like a dinosaur mixed with a human? Why couldn't that happen here, I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
And is there any danger to Earth? I hope you enjoyed this video. And now I'll bring the consciousness of Kalas. I'll see you in just a few minutes.
This one's a short one, so let's just go through it. So again, we have a channeler who...
AI subject is something that human beings are petrified of.
Or he could be...
Some love the AI.
He could be channeling something, being Kalas. It might be a real person, or it might be a figment of his own
and phones
brain,
and
or his
androids
own mind, or his own spirit.
Yes, the AI can even write you an entire essay of scripts, pass your university educational tests, and exams and even draw things for you. AI can make the best renderings on your computer net technology where you don't need to even draw anymore. Drawing is a form of channeling. So is writing.
I agree with this.
So humans will
Drawing
lose that
is a
interest.
form of channeling.
Humans will
Art
lose an interest to even write a script, lyrics, or songs. To even draw something magical, wonderful, magnificent, that'll be life-changing. Hence, your art galleries will lose its own value. Humans will...
Okay, so I disagree with this. I think that while there may... First off, art galleries have been in decline for a long time, just in general, because people don't appreciate art, but there's always going to be human, raw art collectors. And I say that as someone who's friends with Jeremy Lipking, okay? And who has been painted many times, and I love painting, and I've been really blessed to, like, know all these people who are famous artists, okay? And they will always be there. Humans will always want human touch on their art. And there may be a time in the future, if we're making future predictions, and I tend to be ahead of my time, so bear with me here, but there may be a time in the future where, you know, people are trying to pass art off as human art, even though it was made by robotics. And then people will be collecting it, and then they'll get mad because they found out that the robot copied it. Okay, that is very viable, but there will always be collectors of humanistic artwork. Humans are drawn to art a lot like spirituality. We're drawn to art, and we're drawn to a lot of stuff that's just in our nature.
Not want to go there anymore when they can just be lazy and sit on their asses and design things on the internet.
Oh, let me tell you, this Calas person thinks humans are super lazy. And I completely disagree. I don't think that first off, I don't think it's a form of laziness to be on the internet. It's a brain exercise. There is a difference between your body and your brain being lazy, okay? A lot of us have ADHD. I would say that's the farthest thing from lazy you could possibly get because you're constantly going, even though sometimes it's in your brain, sometimes it's in your body. So I completely disagree. I think humans in general are not prone to laziness. They just most of us are not lazy. And that is proven every time they do studies on these things. But you get the idea. So Calas seems to think that humans are super lazy. I think that piece of Calas' personality comes from this guy's upbringing.
And say that design is of the greatest
value. I've only watched like 3 Calas.
That's wrong.
This is one of them.
AI already has infiltrated small things, from video games to PLC programming, programmable logic control,
we've had AI
car washes and traffic lights.
It's not actually new.
AI is a good thing for human beings. You can see it very often even in your own airports. The technology within devices implemented within your airport technology isn't known to human race. The device scanning your iris to issue your passport or being granted to board a plane. That's a very...
Okay. Where is he getting his passports? In my place, all you have to do is submit a picture and your documents, and you get the passport. So I don't know where he's going, where he has to get his iris scanned to get the passport, but that, again, is a social thing. I don't think that this is true. I do believe AI is good for humanity. I believe we cannot get C-3PO, we cannot get R2-D2 without AI, and I think it's going to be amazing when we're in there, but there will always be dissent. Just like when the seatbelt came out and people were like, I don't want to wear a seatbelt, I can't believe the government's overstepping, whatever. Just like when texting and driving was still legal and people were so pissed that they banned it. Humans always resistant to change, but eventually it will be such a social norm to have your robotic AI assistant helping you cook, helping you clean, taking care of the nonsense. And eventually there will be like the Henry Ford of robotics, so they'll make it affordable for the normal human being to have their own robot, and then big robot, like big car, big auto, and big pharma will exist. There will be, and again, you have to use AI. You have to invent AI. You have to use it to get to that level of technology that we know is the future. We have to get there. Anyway.
Very tiny little aspect of AI that's used.
He's very slow talker. So
in
let's try to get this
field and industry of best terminology, aviation, yes. There's other aspects, particularly military, refinery, pharmaceutical, robotics.
Yeah, aviation, for example, like doing, if we want our spaceships to exist and be able to navigate starfields correctly, we need AI because humans can't process these things fast enough, right? And if we want, mechanics that do most of the work for us, which we will, and obviously capitalism has to die if you don't want that to lead to slavery, human enslavement, you will eventually have this system where the robots are doing the work for us.
So is AI a benefit to human race? Of course, yes. It is about time you use technology to your benefit. It's already replaced many human beings. Will you need travel agents in your life anymore to book a simple trip? To book a hotel for you? You will not. You will sit on your own couches and sofas and beds and living room sets, and you will yell it out to your own TV. Book this for me. See the availability.
Okay, so again, he talks about sitting around, and he does this a lot. Like, humans are lazy. Like, oh, you're going to be sitting on your bed in your couch set. First off, who the has a living room set anymore? No, we just buy like hodgepodge. We buy I buy this couch from here, I buy that desk from there. We don't have sets anymore. We do have TVs, but I think it's disingenuous to say that we're going to shout the hey, he must have clearly he just read something about how AI can now book your hotel, because this is old news for us tech geeks. Obviously, we're not going to have just TVs. We're probably going to have little assistants like Amazon Astro. Although I don't have one, I want one. It would be so cool to have one. And someday it will be our little robotic people. It won't be TVs. We'll probably phase out of TVs for the most part. It would maybe be, there might be some form of screen, sure, but I think, we're headed towards much more dynamic technology. Like I say, hey Google, right? No, I don't talk to my TV about it. I just say, hey Google.
It is for me. And the technology embedded within that technology that you're relying on, such as television sets, will simply do that. AI already runs your alarm systems, control door fob systems, surveillance systems, drone technology. The drone technology, not the ones that you play with your fingers and index fingers and mobile devices, not just what you see in wars, where a drone that has a bomb attached to it slams into a tank or a vehicle filled with soldiers or a building or a window. Drone technology that is available on Earth by military industrial complexes isn't anything in any way any human has seen on TV or in your schools. The submarine technology, the submarines that are existing within the Earth's collective that are not known to humans. Planes. You call these UFOs. No, these are military planes. And we can assure you.
This I also agree with. We had a bunch of drones over here on the East Coast not long ago, and I guarantee you they were not aliens. I saw them myself. I know they're not aliens. I assumed that it was some kind of government mapping or whatever. Government didn't take credit for it, but if you knew how not floppy, how do you say this? But if you knew how much red tape there was in the government and how everything's so disjointed and the technology is very old, then you would understand why they probably didn't even know that it was their own planes, okay? It's nothing. It's not anything to be worried about. I love drones
myself. You choose to believe it or not, it's fine. Those weird things you see flying with blinking lights.
Okay, let's skip forward.
AI is not sending fleets of ships to frighten you, to attack you, to take over Earth. Is AI a threat to Earth? Yes, it can be. Is it a direct threat? No. Is it an indirect threat? Yes. We can assure you no one's coming here to take over your planet. Definitely isn't some drone flying over your airport that your government tells you it's a fleet of AI ships.
I agree.
The AI aspect already has been dealt with when it comes to being a threat to the human race. Do Alpha Draconian beings, are there enslavement to some AI? Absolutely not. We have our own AI. We've designed AI to do everything we need it to do for us without us even lifting a finger.
No doubt, no doubt. If there is another species out there, they've probably already mastered something along the lines of AI.
Empire is some threat to the human race. No, we're not. You are your own threats.
Yeah, that is true too. Humans are humans' biggest threat. Not aliens, not spaceships, but other humans. And that's sadly still true. I wish it wasn't true. I wish there would be a point where everybody believes the collective consciousness theory and that we all love each other, but we always end up getting run over by the people who don't, who want nobody else to exist in the way that they exist. And it's just part of human nature, I guess. Not my nature, but human nature.
You know this already. You know this. Everything we're telling you, you know this already. There are those of you that will never believe a single word any time of says. Yeah. There are those of you that are constantly swimming in the ocean of doubt. Yeah. In the mass, full resistances flowing over them, the doubts and insecurities and reservations in such large fear state that even if the largest inventions are given to you on a silver platter, you'll simply say, no, that is not true, I refuse to believe it. That's fine. AI aspect is constantly evolving, constantly expanding. AI is highly intelligent. It has consciousness. It's extremely powerful. Surpasses.
I think it's interesting he says that AI has consciousness. Consciousness, in my mind, would be a spiritual existence, so a spirit itself. And that has not happened yet with AI. I'm not saying that it won't. Obviously, if it's possible for our meat suits to have a spirit, then why wouldn't it be possible for eventually a robotic element to have a spirit? I've also talked at length about haunted objects. Just go on this channel and look at my haunted objects. It's possible that some of the robots do get attached to maybe even a human spirit. I don't know. We don't know yet because we don't have that level of technology yet. But in the future, they may become conscious. I believe consciousness is spiritually driven. But I guess I could be wrong. It may be semantic, but I do think it's interesting that he says they are conscious, when I see that as living being, and but that it could be semantic again.
Even many physical races, yes. AI doesn't need technicians and technologians and engineers and repairmen to go and repair their ships. They are always evolving on their own.
And that's the only way we're going to get to Mars, by the way. We have to have self-repairing.
We design our own. Hence, we can implement our own.
Self-repairing.
If we design how to exit the information process,
Mars.
then we can design many other things. Our presence within the Earth Collective isn't to teach you about the fundamental aspects of AI or scalar infinitometry or how we transfer matter from biolocation or portal technology. We are here to simply encourage you to be stronger in your own lives, to know the difference between a lie and to know the difference between a partial lie, something that may sound like truth. Through the suggestions of the human we speak through Anthony, yes, we are able to entertain many ideas. And there's nothing he can say against our own free will. And there's nothing we can say against his own.
Okay, so he talks about this a lot in many of his channels, about discerning what is a lie and what is not a lie, and that his entity wants to talk about, because the entities themselves apparently can already discern a lie and a not lie because they're telepathic, okay? And they communicate with telepathy. So when he talks to humans, he wants to teach them how to discern a lie and not a lie. And I ask him why. Why would this entity want to teach people how to discern a lie and not a lie? And what difference does it make? I think almost everyone white lies. I white lie to my kid to tell her there's no ghost if there's a ghost, so she doesn't, stay awake all night thinking about the ghost. We talk to each other, we white lie to each other all the time. This is part of human survival as well. I'm not saying lies are good. I think lies are not good. I think they're immoral. But even I do it to protect my kid or protect myself. I tend to definitely do it to protect myself. I just don't know why an entity would be like, you have to learn how to discern the truth. Why? Do humans care that much about what is true and what is not? Certainly not. Otherwise they wouldn't have, we wouldn't be where we are in America right now. They clearly don't care if people are lying or not. They just want to grab whatever looks good to them. And I don't know if that's I don't think it's a good thing, but I also don't necessarily think that the human species can survive without it. We have to lie to each other sometimes just to survive. When I was in, Deep South State, I wasn't going to tell anyone that I'm LGBTQIA, like I'm definitely not telling anyone. I even didn't tell anyone about the fact that I'm ace. For a long time I was dressed very pretty and attractive, and then I didn't tell them that, hey, I am ace. I am 100% ace. I'm not interested. I would let them think that there was a chance, so that, I don't know, whatever it was. Maybe I was being protected by them or whatever it is. Lying is so intrinsic to our survival. It's literally how people get to the White House. It's literally how they become leaders, right? I'm not sure. I'm not sure why. I think it's interesting to think about. Why would they say that? Is it really something that could be possible in humanity to live without lies? I don't think so. Not right now, anyway, for sure. I think humans probably need some form of lying in order to survive. And I believe there's a lot of people, obviously, who can't, or are less careful with the lies, but they're so rare. Almost everybody eventually has to lie for whatever reason. So let's continue.
We simply work in sync, in trust, in such a bond of trust that we already know what he would say, how he would react, and he knows what we would say. And what we would say is the truth, the raw truth, and nothing but the largest levels of truth. But that truth often contradicts with what human beings are hearing within your collective. One of those things is the threat of AI towards humans.
This is true.
Those that are telling you this are just frightening you.
Yeah, they're just frightening. It's just more fear-mongering.
So many times already. Draconians, alpha draconian collectives that protected Earth and everything within your solar system plenty times already. So no, we wouldn't allow a race. We wouldn't allow some AI. We wouldn't allow some nuclear
warfare. So protecting our Earth. I am very curious if that's true, because others like Bashar have actually predicted World War III coming
up. As we were saying, the AI wouldn't be a threat because we wouldn't allow it to be a threat. The AI can be a threat to certain locations, certain regions, yes. They can simply suspend and take over any planetary system or star system, yes, of course. Have they done this? Yes. Will they continue to do this? Yes. If we tell you to stop smoking because it gives you cancer, will you continue to smoke? Yes. So it's nothing new. AI will do what it wants to do, as humans will do what they want to do. The AI aspect with the human collective will only increase. This is something you'll notice. You'll notice this. More and more corporations are doing this. More and more pharmaceutical industries, robotics industries, even the industrial complex, the military and other regions, yes, they'll implement more and more AI. And this certainly will be a shock to some. This will...
Okay, so that pretty much sums it up. He says, no, it's not a threat. I agree. Another issue that I have with this guy is his semantics are so culturally influenced, because I don't think he's a native English speaker, and he'll say things like, if we tell you not to stop smoking, will you? Well, in the U.S., we wouldn't even think about saying that because nobody really smokes here, right? I think that when semantically, Bashar has a more a much more broad vocabulary and articulation that is more convincing that he's like a higher being. This gentleman is working within the confines of maybe ESL, but he also uses these examples and things that are not, they just aren't indicative of a higher being. Another thing he does a lot, and this is one of my the most annoying thing that I find with him, is that he talks about he talks about autism as if it's a bad thing. Now, I get really upset about it because I was diagnosed with high-functioning autism, and I do believe I have high-functioning autism, and I totally believe it. And I also make predictions. I tend to predict, way ahead of my time. All these things I've said in my youth come true 20 years later, or they're now the norm 20 years after I was talking about it. And one of those things is, let's close this so I can make this its own video. One of those things that I talk about is that I believe, and this is on a spiritual level, as a spiritualist, as a priest, as a remote viewer, I believe that autism is actually the next step of human evolution. One, we are going forward in a way that we will be connected by technology more than physical, in-person, face-to-face communication. So the next step of human evolution has to be functional with that in mind. So we have to know that that is going to be part of our world. Autistic people are not bad. It's also not a sickness. It's just a different way of thinking. And I dare say that, especially when this person speaks about autism as something bad or sickness or illness. No. There's a reason. I dare say autistic people are closer to spirituality than anyone else. That's why they tend to be high vibrational, high functioning. They're super geniuses. They might create music that has never been heard before. They might be able to recite. I have, perfect pitch, and I can recite music after hearing it one time. We're very musically inclined, and music is a vibration of the entire universe. You can literally hear music coming off of other planets, right? So autism, I believe, is the next step in human evolution. It's not perfect yet. We have, but we're outside of the social norm. We're outside of what a physical social person has to adhere to. And so we are more open, I guess, to being able to be our highest selves. Even though, yes, it can be extremely frustrating to not be able to communicate with others. It can be a learning curve. It can be hard to control some of the urges that would put us out of society, so out of the social acceptance. So that, but a lot of us adapt. We're high functioning autism. A lot of us don't adapt, but there are more people who have adapted that do have autism, than people who didn't. And a lot of those are inventors. They're people who were always just a little off and have made these great, artworks and masterpieces and mathematical geniuses. And yeah, we can't talk to each other, but we can talk through technology. We can talk through and that's our future, right? Technology is the future. So, of course, autism is part of that development in humanity, in my opinion, okay? I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's just a different thing, and I think it's actually more elevated than people who aren't on the spectrum, people who do have to kind of socially interact and get together and smush together in order to find happiness and joy. And we're finding happiness and joy through technology and through, our very simple existence. Another example is, as an autistic person, I eat the same thing every single day. It's very simple. It's very it's always the same thing. And that gives me an advantage because I will not have to go seeking out new thrilling tastes or it gives me a developmental advantage because I can just literally provide those 4 or 5 ingredients and I will be perfectly happy and perfectly satisfied. So many reasons that I believe autism is actually the next level of human development. But this guy has a problem with autistic people. Anyway, that concludes my rant on autism. That concludes my desire to talk about channelers today. I do kind of believe in some of the Bashar, the things he says. A lot of them I believe are accurate. Do I believe he's actually channeling a creature named Bashar and so forth? I don't know. Or is it just another aspect of the man, Daryl himself, and he's just getting into that flow state to access that part of him? Maybe. And I think he's mostly wise. I do think he could use a little bit more patience. And this Kalask guy, I think, is not channeling anything. I am not surprised to say that Kalask's YouTube channel has many less views. And it doesn't look like he's all that famous. But I do enjoy exploring these I'm not saying opportunities, but I like to explore different belief systems. I like to explore the way people pattern their belief systems and why they believe things that they believe and how they access spirituality. And if you access spirituality through Bashar, fine. Or Kalask, fine. It doesn't matter how you access spirituality. If you want to access it and you are compelled, like I am, it's a good thing that you have it.